Hi there, this is Dr. Clements. I want to welcome you to Mastermind Authors College. For the past 6 years of my life, I have been into book writing, and as a medical doctor, have a very busy schedule. However, I get a lot of people come to me, to ask me to help them write their books. And so I also do a freelance writing job. And for the past 6 years, I've been writing books. And I've written more than 30 books, for different people as a freelance writer. And I have two of my books published on Amazon and on some other bookstores. Over the years, I have realized that a lot of people have ideas, they have stories they want to tell, but they do not know how to write. And so they would rather look for a freelance writer to write for them or to help them edit their books. And so I felt that maybe instead of just writing for people, I could actually teach people how to write books by themselves. And that is why I created this online course. And it's going to be a 3 months online course. And I created a kind of school, which I call Mastermind Authors College. And I have a lot of students who are interested in learning how to write, how to edit, and how to self-publish their own books. So if you are one of such, students who would love to learn how to write a book from the beginning till the end, and then edit that book and self-publish the book without requiring, traditional, publishers, then this course is for you. So once again, I want to welcome you to Mastermind Authors College. This presentation today would be an introductory presentation to a 3 months online course on book writing, editing, proofreading, self-publishing, marketing, and distribution of books. So welcome to my course. Let's get started. So in this course, we are going to, focus on 5 main subjects. And the first thing we're going to be doing is to have an introductory, class where I will introduce you to what the whole course would be about. And in this introductory lesson, which we shall be having today, I will show you, what we would be doing for 3 months. And I believe that it will be a worthwhile, journey for you. So we will have an introductory course, which I already started today, and we will focus on writing, proofreading and editing, designs and publishing, and then we would talk about marketing and distribution. So I realized that a lot of people have ideas in their heads, but they do not know that they could turn those ideas into books. Now, if you look at this picture, you will find that it represents the number of books that we all have, in our head and in our minds. But most times people do not realize that those ideas that they have could be turned into books. Some other people have realized that they could actually turn their ideas into books, but they do not know how to do that. And that is why I created this course to help people who have ideas, who have a story to tell, convert those ideas into books. So I want to ask you, how many books do you have in your head? I just told you that I have written over 30 books, in the past 6 years. And as I speak with you right now, I have over 130 book titles that I'm still about to write. I have the titles written down already, but I haven't, converted them into books. So I have a lot of books in my head, and that is why I also want to help you to convert those ideas that you have into books. So it is time to awaken those ideas. Now, most people have ideas, but a lot of people do not have ideas at all. If you are a writer, almost everything becomes a book idea, to you. Now, there is a quote from Orson Scott, which I think might interest you. Everybody works past 1,000 story ideas every day. The good writers are the ones who see 5 or 6 of them. Most people don't see any. So, if you want to be a good writer, you must be very sensitive to ideas. You must be sensitive to the events happening around you because they could all become book ideas. And so everybody walks past 1,000 stories every day, story ideas every day. But only the good writers are the ones who are able to see 5 or 6 of them. And most people don't see any. For me, it got to a point, when everything is a book to me, because I could be having a discussion with you about something that happened to you, or we could be talking about politics or talking about business, just normal events. But to me, those events could become books. And so when you are awakened to that consciousness that you could convert everything into books, then you are awakened. You easily, you know, notices when you easily notice when somebody's talking to you that you could get those ideas and convert them into books. And believe me, you can write books about anything and about everything. And so I want you to develop a consciousness that you could convert almost everything to a book. It doesn't matter what it is, you can write about it. And for you to do that, I'm going to teach you how to become a good writer and how to get book ideas and convert those ideas into actual books. So, like I said, we're having the introductory course today. And in this introductory course, we would look at why you should write your own book. A lot of people live a whole lifetime and they never get to write a book. But you can write your own book. And I'm going to tell you why I think that everybody should at least write a book in their lifetime before they die. And then after that, we will talk about, I will show you what you should expect from this course. And then I will show you the course schedule. And after that, we'll talk about the types of book genres today, and we will have a summary. So let's get started. Why should you write your own book? Is that because everyone else is writing a book? No. I'm going to show you why I think you should write your own book. Now, the first thing I would say is that when you write your own book, you become an authority, you become an expert in that field that you have written about. For example, if you write a book about parenting, automatically you become an expert. Other parents would want to come to you to learn from you on how they could better raise their kids. Just because you wrote a book about parenting, everybody begins to see you as an authority. You become an expert. And if you look at the word authority, you would find that it began with the word author. So you are an author and you become an authority. You are an expert in that field. If you write a book about wealth creation, everybody begins to see you as an expert, and they would begin to come to you to learn from you, to invite you for, conferences and webinars where you could teach them about that subject that you have written about. Now, I wrote a book about um, how to convert your potential, how to use your potential, how to maximize your potential. And that made me an authority, in that, an expert in, capacity building, and how people could, look inward and use their potential. And that made it possible for me to speak, at different conferences about that book. Now, if you write a book about marriage, you would realize that a lot of married people would begin to come to you for counseling. They want to, because they believe that if you could write a book on marriage, then you are an expert, in that field. Good. Now, the next reason why I think that you should write your own book, in your lifetime, and not just one book, you should write as many books as you can, is the fact that when you write a book, it is an avenue for you to impact the world with your message. I do believe that we all have, something within us, a part of us that wants to make the world a better place. We all have that passion and that, desire to impact the world in certain areas. So when you write a book, what you have done is that you have created an avenue to impact the world with your message. You might have a message and keep that message to yourself, and nobody else gets to benefit from that message. But then when you convert that message into a book, you can actually reach the ends of the earth. Every nation in the world can be impacted by your book. So where you cannot even physically go, your book would go there and would change lives there. Let's imagine, for example, that you write a book about how to stop domestic violence, right? You might be in United States or in the UK or even in Nigeria or in Ukraine, but that book would travel, to almost every nation of the earth and impact people. So you could be here in Ukraine, for example, and someone else in Australia is reading your book about how to stop domestic violence, and that person is being impacted. Maybe you wrote a book about, how to create wealth, how to be financially independent. You could be in Nigeria and someone in the United States is reading your book and getting impacted. So the best way to impact the world with your message is to put that message down in the form of a book. And when you do that, you are able to reach more people and create more impact, in your lifetime. The third reason why I think that every one of us should at least write a book before we die is that your book becomes your legacy. When you have a book, I think that a book is one of the best legacies that you could leave behind when you finally exit the earth. The reason is that when you exit the earth, your book could still be changing the lives of people. Your book could also be transforming nations. Your book could be raising leaders. Your book could be empowering people financially. Your book could, help people build, peaceful and long-lasting marriages. Even though you are gone, you are no longer alive, but your book is alive. Your book continually impacts people. What does that mean? It means that when you write a book, you do not actually die. Even though you exit the earth, but you are still alive in your book. When people read the pages of your book, they hear you talk to them, they see you speak to them, and you are transforming their lives, even from the grave. So, what does that mean? It means that you are actually still alive. There are people who are living today, right, who are not making any impact at all. No impact. They are just alive. But I bet you that if you die and you have a book, you would still make more impact than the people who are still alive. For example, today we read books by Plato or Aristotle, or we read books by Dr. Miles Monroe. He is impacting more people from the grave than some, many other people who are still alive and doing nothing. So your book could become a legacy that would live on after you exit the earth. Many generations after you would read your book and be impacted by it. So even if you couldn't do anything else in the world before you leave this earth, you should at least write a book. That is one of the best ways to keep your memory in the hearts of people, even when you exit, so that you continually be a blessing to them and impact nations from the grave. So if I were you, I would begin to think about the kind of book that I'm going to write, such that when I leave this earth, I will have a legacy that will be a blessing to people many years, after I'm gone. The next reason why I think you should write a book is that writing a book kind of, you know, helps you learn a new skill. If you didn't know how to write, but now you want to write a book and you are taking this course, it means you are ready to learn a new skill. You are trying to develop a new skill. Or maybe you know how to write, you have written one or two books, but you would realize that the more you write, the better you get. So, what does that mean? It means that writing a book helps you to develop a new skill. Most times, people think that they do not have skills, that okay, I don't think I can do this. But when you start writing a book, you would realize that what you thought you couldn't do, the skill you thought you didn't have, you can actually develop it and become a professional, become so, skillful and adroit, in that field, because you keep on practicing and, producing more books. So the more you write books, the better you get. So you could develop a new skill by deciding to write a book. What else do I think is the reason you should write a book before you exit the earth? I think that when you write a book, it could be another source of income. Why did I say so? You could make a lot of money from book selling. Now, most times I tell people the number one goal or the number one reason for which you want to write a book should not be about the money. It should be about the message and the impact that you want to make. However, writing a book could also give you a lot of money if you write a good book and you do a good marketing, which I'm going to teach you about in this course. You could have a passive source of income. Even though you have another job, you could be making a lot of money, even making more money every month from the sales of your book and from the conferences where you go to speak and all of that, than you make from your job. So I think that you should write a book. For the past 6 years, I have been writing books, and I can tell you that writing a book is a very good source of income. Even if you do not want to make money from your own book, learning how to write could help you become a freelance writer where you help other people write their books and you get paid for it. And I bet you that freelance writers make a lot of money, more than you would believe. Good. So now I'm going to give you one last reason why I think that you should write your own book. And that is when you write a book, there is a feeling of accomplishment, there's a feeling of fulfillment that you get when you eventually write a book. When you hold that book of yours, that printed book, and you hold it in your hands, There is this joy that you feel. I remember when I first wrote my first book, you know, I felt so happy. I felt so fulfilled that I could convert my ideas into something tangible that people could hold and touch and say, oh, this is a book written by me. So you get that feeling of fulfillment and that feeling of accomplishment. You know, you have a kind of increased self-worth and importance, when you write a book and you feel that your life is productive. So I would encourage you to think about writing your own book. And I believe that you actually enrolled for this course because you want to write your own book. Everybody should at least write a book in their lifetime. Now, what are we to expect from this course?